Top five, top five, top five.
So on top of go back with another video. I'm Strange Wang. He is Nate. Today we're doing top 5 movie scripts in honor of the Marvels, because we don't like talking about superhero movies. So this superhero movie has to do with a script. So we're doing top 5 screenplays. Makes sense to me. He'll tell you how our top 5s work, and then we'll get into it.
He's going to start with his 5 and 4. I'll give my 5 and 4. 3-2, 3-2. Then we trade off number ones. We also have something called the Zemeckis rule, which just means if we both have the same movie on our list, but one person has it 2 spots or higher, then we just talk about it once.
Number 5, my opinion, I have the greatest comedy script of all time. It's clean, it's polished, it's smart, it's realistic. It's My Cousin Vinny. This movie is hilarious. It has great jokes, phenomenal pacing, builds to a climax which makes you as an audience member feel good, have laughter. All the little side bits and everything, they all pay off at the end. It's heartwarming. Again, it's a comedy. You're having fun throughout the entire film. But the reason why I put it on here is because I don't know why I'm just so impressed with this. Maybe it's because I'm from the South. But you have to write for Southerners. You have to make these people from Alabama sound like they're from Alabama. And I've met some of these people. The writing is very authentic. And then you have these Italians. You have to write for these Italians. You got to write for Joe Pesci. You got to write for Lisa Tomei. You got to have the slang, the nuances. You have to, in your mind, what's their reaction to this word that an Italian would use like that, you know? So blending those almost like 2 different languages together, and not every single time making it have to be like a joke and forcing a joke out of it. Knowing when to put jokes. I just think the script is phenomenally crafted, and Dale Lerner did a excellent job putting this movie together.
Do you know what gabagool is?
Yeah, it's food.
What?
I watched the fucking Sopranos before.
But do you know what it is?
It's a type of meat.
Yeah, it's just how Italians pronounce capicola.
Alrighty then.
I'm not going to go into a big spill because I feel like it's going to be a Zemeckis. My number 4 is Casablanca.
My number 4 is Casablanca.
Very nice.
So this had a bunch of writers, Julius and Philip Epstein and Howard Koch, as he says it.
I don't know. It's probably Koch.
But usually the more writers, the messier it is. I feel like having 2 brothers, I'm assuming they're brothers, writing just makes this more on the same page. But this could have been a top 10 list easily.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of older films there's 2 particular older films that I wanted to put on here. And I was just like,
well, what were they?
Well,
you might switch your number 3.
No. So in this vein of like slick talking, there was The Philadelphia Story and 12 Angry Men.
Yeah.
Just got. Well, shit. Not 12 Angry. 12 Angry Men would have been on my list.
That's a
but
good one.
slick talking wise, His Girl Friday and Philadelphia Story.
Yeah. Both of those were like on my
Yeah.
short list.
Like, Casablanca is one of my favorite movies though. And you still have that element of there's a split second in between their dialogue a lot of times, especially when he's not talking to her.
Yeah.
Humphrey Bogart, when he's not talking about his honey dip, he's hitting slick line, slick line, slick line, slick line. Like, the dialogue in this movie is slicker than Come on a Gold Tooth. Like, it's insane. It's
What your ass say?
slicker than Come on a Gold Tooth.
Ew.
To be so fucking cool is insane, and to have all these movies where these cool lines are just dropped in like it's nothing. Like, you look at any Bogart movie, and he just has all these lines. But again, Casablanca gets the nod. One of my favorite movies of all time, so I gave it the push.
Yeah, Casablanca was on my mind before I even looked at any online lists, and it was like consistently top 5 of most lists on the internet, if not number 1. And objectively, I mean, I get it, and it's exactly what you're saying. And it's not even just Rick and like your main characters, even every little side character. Every time we talk about Casablanca, we always talk about the side characters and stuff too. But
you have to.
But they're interesting because of the way that they're written, and like they all have like the little quirks, like Fly Swatter guy, and like you know, everyone else, like the drunk lady at the bar, and like all that stuff, and like but their dialogue is like just as interesting when they're interacting with the main characters as the main characters acting is. And I think in thinking about it, that's way more important than it might seem at the forefront, because when even your side characters are just as slick talking and interesting as your main characters are, it kind of de-elevates your main characters a little bit. Like it almost puts them sort of on the same level of like intelligence as even the side characters in the movie, which makes their ultimate triumph at the end feel a little more earned. And Casablanca does that really well. And it's like there's parts of it that are funny, like the emotional parts are really interesting, but even just listening to everyone talk to get to where we're going is like, it's so great. I love that movie.
Yeah, and like to piggyback off what you said, to have a movie to blend so many elements together is always impressive.
Yeah.
Because there's genres. This film, you could say it's a romance. You can say it's a drama. Mm-hmm. The beginning is almost like a crime.
Like a caper kind of
comedy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
Peter Lorre just killed somebody and was like, I'm worried about, Rick, do you like me? If I thought about it. You know, like,
yeah.
That's hilarious. And you have that crime element, you know? Because Casablanca is a shady fucking place.
Right.
But the way we're talking about, I feel like I should have put it higher now, but that's my number 4.
Well, it's
number 5.
favorites, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I had to tell him. This was definitely a favorites list for me.
Yeah. There was one where it's like, I can't deny this. Like,
yeah.
I feel like we probably have it on our list together, but I was like, I can't deny it. This is its spot.
Yeah. I wonder if it's going to be in the same spot.
I don't know.
I think there's a really solid chance we actually have 2 of the same top 3. It's just maybe an order thing. Anyways, my number 5 was like, if I'm going to, obviously, I was making a list of best movie screenplays. I was like, if I'm going to make if I'm going to talk about my favorites, I can't not have an Aaron Sorkin script.
Yeah. It was hard to leave it off. Top 10, I would have threw one on there easily.
And then, so you probably would have gone Trial of Chicago 7, I assume.
That's my favorite movie that he's written.
Yeah.
But there's one answer to that question.
Well, I might surprise you. What's your answer?
You can't handle the truth.
Oh, see? I actually picked Moneyball. And
wow.
It was definitely A Few Good Men for a while, but the reason that I switched is because although I do love the script of A Few Good Men, and that line is absolutely iconic, and the entire movie is written very well, even the writing in that movie just feels so incredibly just of its time.
It's debatable!
Where I feel like Moneyball is like a little more grounded. It's like a much more real story, because it is also based on a real story. But also, in A Few Good Men, it's like, we're dealing with military stuff. We're telling a story of murder. There's stuff going on. We're going to different places. We're meeting all these characters. It's like a little, I wouldn't call A Few Good Men a fast-paced movie, but for an Aaron Sorkin script, it kind of is. And the reason that I really, really like Moneyball's script is because Moneyball is pretty much about one guy and his sidekick.
Yeah.
And it's just them talking about baseball and numbers the entire movie. And it is so freaking interesting to watch. And it's because it has a really good script. That movie does not work if you do not have an absolutely incredible script. And it does. You are absolutely engaged in every conversation that these people are having with each other, because Aaron Sorkin is just really fucking good at his job. his writing job, he's pretty good as a director from that we've seen so far.
That's fair.
And then my number 4 is Casablanca. So
My number 3 is Shane Black's Predator script.
maybe we won't have two.
I
at the same time.
love 1980s action movies. There's not a script that says I'm a 1980s action movie more than The Predator.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I love it to death. There's so many great one-liners. You got Arnold Schwarzenegger. He throws a knife in the guy. It says stick around.
Yeah,
Like-
great writing.
There's some genius fucking one-liners in there. And you see this fucking smile. That's why I love...
You don't think that
writing in
you
this
could have
film.
come up with that?
I don't know. But on top of that, there is a good craft and like talent behind those cheesy one-liners, as you would say, because he establishes the script in 5 minutes. We have one scene of all the military men on the plane. We meeting them for the first time. Everyone, you know every character just based on a 2-minute scene of them talking on an airplane. He established 5 characters.
That there's impressive.
Why are they going to this place? So between the beginning and the action scene, the first 30 minutes, you have a plot, a twist, and 10 characters established in 30 minutes. And then you have the rest of the film to have tension and questions. Like, I find that the pacing of this film is incredible, and mixed with the 80s actionness of it, just...
Yeah. I think there's an interesting point there because I think that modern action movies have this major problem, really modern movies in general, of trying to get you to know their characters a little too well, when really it's just like, we just need a vibe, you know?
For sure.
And because my immediate pushback against you saying that was like, well, yeah, it's just like a surface level. I mean, I don't want to say that. You think I'm knocking The Predator. It's a great movie. But it's not a deep movie. It's just a...
No, it's not supposed to be.
It's just base, one of the best action movies. So, introducing and setting up 5 characters in The Predator is a lot easier than setting up and explaining 5 characters in something like The Trial of the Chicago 7. But that's all it needed to be, and that's why it works. It's because we don't need to know these guys' entire life story. So
Yeah,
I think it's a good point.
They tried the same thing in The Predator.
Yeah.
With all the military dudes on the bus. Thomas Jane and all those guys. It didn't work.
Yeah.
You look at other action movies.
Is that the one where they say the R word?
Yeah. You might think it's simple.
Yeah.
And I guess for that time period, I personally think you had to be more talented back then because you had less tools to work with. You couldn't CGI a whole fucking movie in outer space with Avengers.
Yeah.
You had to work with what you had. So I feel like everything, there was a higher standard back then for like big movies. So that writing talent, I think it deserves, for an action movie, I think it deserves it because, like you said, movies now, they still can't do that properly.
Yeah.
So,
It's true.
number 2, I think this one you was talking about, Pulp Fiction.
It's my number 2.
Number 2, the C, right there.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino, Roger Avery. Who wrote what? I don't know, and I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
Because there's lines in this movie that I quote on a weekly basis. Like, my name's Paul, the shit's between y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I say that at work now, because now, like, I'm working with people. And, like, I treat my job as a job.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not getting in the middle of nobody's bullshit. So I say that shit a lot. When I used to work in a kitchen and I would, like, had more responsibilities, you fuck up, my name's Pitt and you ain't stepping your way out of this shit. You're new, I don't remember your name. Hey, flock of seagulls. Like, I'm just quoting lines of this movie.
Yeah.
Because they're so fucking cool. And they're just thrown in there. It's kind of like Casablanca, they just throw gems in there. It's like diamonds in a haystack, you know? It's like,
yeah. I think I forgot to tell you about it, but a couple of months ago, I had like a contextually correct opportunity and took the opportunity to look at someone and say, it's not a motorcycle, it's a chopper.
That's fucking great.
And they obviously had no clue what I was talking about, but...
Just like the pop culture references and everything blended into it, not only is it like a movie that just connects to other people who love movies, because I feel like if you really love movies, you have like a pop culture, like a decent knowledge.
Yeah.
So like he's really speaking to film lovers with this movie. He's challenging you with the way the film's written and set up scene by scene. So there's just so much good stuff coming from this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm going to save some stuff for you to talk about, but less is more. And this script shows how good less is more can work.
Yeah. I love that like 10% of this script, if 10% of it is even driving what little plot there is, and the rest of it is just people talking to each other about dumb stuff. But it's like we're supposed to think that Vincent and Jules are cool, right? And so they literally just give us a whole conversation of John Travolta, as smoothly as John Travolta can, explaining why hamburgers are called different things in other countries because of different units of measurement.
Yeah.
But when they're talking about it, it's the coolest freaking thing in the entire world.
Am I lying?
The foot massage, like every conversation that Jules and Vincent have that isn't about work is like the coolest conversation. Like you want so bad for them to invite you to be part of that conversation. And then like Butch is great. He doesn't have a ton of great lines. Really, Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead is probably like his best line. But the bartender, I guess his name's Paul. I have no idea what his name is.
It's just between y'all.
But like Marcellus Wallace, like his lines are all absolutely incredible. Like he just speaks in this like it's almost like a different language.
It's a screen presence.
Right. It's like he speaks in metaphors almost every time he's talking. And so it's like every character talks a little bit differently, but they say everything they say so confidently that like you're 100% bought in. And like I can't imagine what actor, like the first time that Travolta or Samuel Jackson or any of these guys were handed this script and read it. Like what, like the fact that they agreed to do that movie is absolutely insane because it's nonsense, but it works so well. And it's just like incredibly creative to say this will work as a movie.
Yeah.
And then make it work as a fucking movie. I mean, it's great.
Yeah. So much good shit in that movie.
Yeah. So my number 3, I guess there's a chance it's your number 1, but maybe it just didn't make your list. But my number 3 is When Harry Met Sally.
It's number 3.
Yeah.
Was the Mechas.
There, okay. Yeah. We did have, I was right. We did have 2 of the same top 3. Okay, well then my number 2 is Pulp Fiction, so go ahead.
I could only pick, I felt like it was only right to only pick one Rob Reiner movie.
Mm-hmm.
Since I was going with the slick talking Casablanca argument.
Yeah.
Princess Bride, that's a top 10 script.
Yeah.
But When Harry Met Sally, Nora Ephron,
Yeah.
just having the dialogue set in everyday scenes, them at the football game.
Right.
It's just every time it adds a layer to it. Because they're always doing something. Whether they're doing the wave, talking about how Mr. Zero knows his marriage is over before he does.
Yeah.
Or when they're all having dinner and she's going through the thing, looking up boyfriends. Oh, this one's married. But like, there's always something to work with and play with to add to the scene.
Yeah.
Whether like the little things written about these characters that just make them feel so real and relatable or personal.
Mm-hmm.
and they keep that carrying on in the script. Well, Sally is talking to Harry at the diner, telling him how he's disgusting for sleeping with all these women.
Mm-hmm.
What is she doing? She's putting together her sandwich because she's such a fucking picky eater. Everything's on the side.
Yeah.
Little details like that written in, to me, make this the greatest script ever written.
Yeah. It is great. My favorite, I think my favorite part is the fucking, Carrie Fisher and her boyfriend arguing about the fucking ship wheel table thing. But even that is
the
like,
wagon,
again,
table,
it comes back to
top.
side characters too. Like, because even they're written incredibly well.
Yeah.
The scene where they're like all on the phone with each other basically and all
So
that
good.
stuff, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Great scene. Because those two are next to each other and Harry and Sally
Yeah.
are calling them separately. Also, like, shout out to them for having 2 separate phone lines in the 90s. Yeah, it's just little stuff like that. I will never not be impressed by movies that have what we've been talking about, that just kind of like you don't miss a beat. Like, if there is silence on the screen, it is incredibly intentional and purposeful.
Yeah.
And because the characters have not shut up this entire film, you feel the importance of that silence. And that is also a part of really good writing, is knowing when to not write something here. And yeah, it's incredible. And that movie definitely, like, you have to have the right people to make movies
100%.
like that. But it's like, that doesn't mean that it's diminished because of that, because it's just like 2 really good artists working together. Because Billy Crystal can't shine the way Billy Crystal really should be able to if he doesn't have a screenwriter to put him in that Princess Bride Miracle Max position, to put him in that When Harry Met Sally position. And so watching those 2 things work together in concert is like pretty fucking dope. And it also applies to my number 1. So I didn't want to cut you off if you had more When Harry Met Sally stuff.
I don't think there's enough like memory on this iPhone if we want to keep talking about When Harry Met Sally. I will say one thing. I would never want that wagon wheel tabletop.
No, me neither. It's pretty bad, actually.
Well, that's what she says to him.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because Harry goes like, then you get divorced and you'll be fighting over this stupid wagon wheel tabletop.
Yeah.
Make sure you write your name in your books. And then he storms out. He just ran into what's her name? I will never.
Yeah.
So good. So fucking good.
Yeah. My number 1 favorite script of all time is the script for The Royal Tenenbaums, which was written by what?
I could have never, like, if we always, I guess I always do this, and sometimes you do it too. If I wrote your list for you, like a top 10, and like your top 5 is within this top 10, it wouldn't even been on there.
What would have been on there that I didn't say?
Princess Bride. I thought that was gonna be your number 1.
Short. I had a short list that was 12 movies.
I thought you was gonna double up.
Yeah, that was on there.
I thought you would have went Vertigo. You huge on Vertigo.
Yeah, I don't think I would have considered it for this one. I mean, it is a great script. Just
I don't know. I'm on the spot, but A Few Good Men. I knew that was on your list, and it wasn't.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Screenwriting is really fucking hard.
And it's also so layered. It's like, what are you setting out to do?
Yeah, honestly, when I think about, like, so if screenwriting, directing, and acting are like the big 3 pieces of making a movie, like cinematography's in there, but director influences that a ton, and like they influence the acting to a degree as well. But if directing, writing, and acting are the big 3, I think writing is the hardest of those 3.
Yeah, because like you gotta get your point across.
Right. And so I just have a massive appreciation for screenwriting. And so I wanted to pick movies that like really, really popped that. Like Indiana Jones is dope. And like there is so much like extra, like the dialogue between like Indiana's dad in Last Crusade. I love that to death, and I love it. But a lot of it, I don't know if predictable is the right word, but like, I don't think anything there like blew me away. It all fits perfectly, and I love it. But the movies that are all on my list are either like, you could not have made this movie without a near perfect script, like Moneyball, or this script for this movie was probably 30 pages longer than your average movie script because you wanted your characters to talk this way and you had to cram it in there, and there's not a single line that misses, like When Harry Met Sally. Or it's just so weirdly creative, the fact that it got made is an absolute miracle, like Pulp Fiction. And then Royal Tenenbaums falls into that. The script for this movie was probably long as shit because A, you have a lot of characters, but B, like, they're not as rapid fire as even some of other Wes Anderson's other movies, and there are fair amounts of like pauses in this movie that compared to like his other works. But it kind of comes back to what you were talking about with Predator, which never thought that I would be comparing Royal Tenenbaums and Predator, but here we are. There are so many characters in this movie, and the way that he has written them and placed like specific flashback scenes and stuff, you have a near perfect understanding of why each of these characters has the issues that they have and where they're at now. And to do that with like at least 6 different characters is really incredible, while still having that like Wes Anderson flair, like the kind of storybookish element to it. It's just incredibly unique. And so to be able to build these characters while still having them have those kind of nonsensical conversations back and forth so much is just super impressive to me. And I love listening to the people in this movie talk. And I was also thinking about this the other day because Owen Wilson co-wrote Tenenbaums with him. And Owen Wilson is not, like, he's not a slow talker, but he's not exactly like your rapid fire, super fast paced kind of guy either. And even in this movie, when he talks, because he has that kind of like little slowdown just naturally in his voice, he feels slower than everyone else. And I think that's why he works so well in Wes Anderson movies, because every other character is kind of just like bam, 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 bam. And then Owen Wilson is just kind of being Owen Wilson. So when he's on the screen compared to everyone else, you can feel how different his characters are to everyone else in the movie. And he co-wrote this, so I guess he could have done some of that for himself. But as much as Wes Anderson has worked with Owen Wilson, to be able to write for him specifically in those movies is just also really impressive to me. So,
because they kind of have the same cadence, and I think this person is a better actor. Could Matthew McConaughey replace Owen Wilson in every Wes Anderson movie? I
literally thought about this exact same thing when I was, because
they're both Texas boys.
Yeah,
and they're both weird as shit.
One of the podcasts I was listening to was talking about Henry Sugar, and because all three, I haven't watched them yet, but all 3 of his other shorts are already on Netflix.
Yeah.
And
I didn't even know that. I thought it was just Henry Sugar.
Yeah, and Netflix is like not advertising it at all.
No.
It's like, but they were talking about whether or not Henry Sugar would, well, how it's almost guaranteed that it's at least going to get an Oscar nomination for Best Short Film.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
And something came up. They were talking about how fast-paced the characters talk in all 4 of those shorts. And that made me think of Owen Wilson, because he just doesn't spit it off that quick. And that's why he feels so different in those movies. And then I was like, man, Matthew McConaughey talks very slow. Like, his Texas drawl is in full effect almost all the time. And so it's like, would he be too slow to be in a Wes Anderson? Like, would it stand out too much in a bad way? And I don't know, but I really want to know.
I think they work great together.
Yeah, I think it could work. So,
like, you gotta think
because again, he's an incredible writer. So he would probably be able to write the perfect character for. And now I just really like literally before you said that, I was like, I really want to see Matthew McConaughey in a Wes Anderson movie.
Because like you look at Matthew McConaughey's like top 5 most famous lines of all time. Look at one of them. It'll be a lot cooler if you did. That was like 4 Wes Anderson lines right there.
Yeah.
And all he said, it would be a lot cooler if you did.
Yeah.
And Matthew McConaughey, that's 4 Wes Anderson lines of dialogue. So, I don't know. That's interesting. I would love to see it. Maybe that would be a video for another day. Actors we want to see in Wes Anderson movies. But let us know in the comment section below your top 5 favorite screenplays of all time. Scroll back up, hit the like button, share the video. And subscribe.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.